Welcome back to Corbin AI, where I'm showing you daily how to start leveraging artificial intelligence in your personal and your business life. And you clicked on today's video as we're going to learn how to automatically analyze a market research report that's going to output an entire business plan based off the data we find in that PDF. If you like this kind of content and you want to see more content related to PDF analyzation, you can check out our channel here. Without further ado, let's go and jump in here. We're going to go and jump in over to Google Drive, as this is going to be our main trigger event. Essentially, the way we're going to work this is we'll provide the research report into a folder, and then everything else will be automatic. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to use Zapier, we're going to use ChatGPT, and then just free services provided by Google. So the research report we're looking at today here is a free one that I found about hardwood floor manufacturers. As you see, it is a sample report, but in other contexts, you can get a research report on any market, real estate markets, artificial intelligence, e-commerce, whatever the market research is on. I mean, you can go all the way to vapes, you can go all the way to, a restaurant industry, whatever the market research is based on, you're going to be able to use the same flow and get a potential business idea with an entire business plan. So let's go to learn how to do that today. We're going to come over to Zapier here, and we're going to go ahead and create a trigger. And the trigger here is going to be a new file in the Google Drive folder. Therefore, we can identify and distinguish to use a specific folder for this context. I also want to point out that you're about to learn how to do large PDF files. As you see here, this is a pretty large PDF file. This is over 27 pages of a bunch of data. But we're going to have GPT handle all of that information for us so we don't have to lift a single finger. So we're going to say new file in folder. We're going to choose our courses. And the folder we're going to choose is called PDF text. I'm going to move my audio up here a little bit. All right, so that's a little bit better. And we're going to choose our folder here, PDF text. There we go. We're going to continue here. We're going to go ahead and test this trigger here. And what we're looking for is going to be file exist but not shown. As if you're familiar with PDFs and when it comes to Zapier, it won't give the entire output of text. But don't worry, we got some code to help you. We're going to do another Google Drive block here. And the purpose of this Google Drive block here is the first thing we need to do is we need to convert this PDF into a Google Doc. This is going to allow us to grab the underlying data here. So we're going to go ahead and do the event of upload file. We're going to continue here in our courses account. And I want to make sure you know that it's very important. And we're going to also do file exist but not shown, that the folder that you put this in is not the same folder. This needs to be a different folder. So we're going to put this in business proposition. The reason why is that you'll create an infinite loop if you chose the same folder, because the original trigger on this is a PDF text. So if I chose PDF text here, then it would, you'd add a PDF, it would create a Google Doc in PDF text, and then it's another new file, and then create it again, and then, infinite loop you don't want to deal with. So make sure the folder you're putting in is a separate folder. From here though, we can go ahead and convert the document. We're going to say true. We're going to continue here. You can also give it a special name. So in this context, maybe we'll just give it the title of the PDF so we know exactly what we're talking about here. We're going to continue here. We're going to test this step. Jumping over to this folder, we should see it pop up here. It's going to be a Google Doc. But the reason we're going to make it a Google Doc is because now we can actually going to be able to get the underlying data associated with that PDF. So if I double click this, as you see, it might not look perfect sometimes in output, but this can take any type of template and you'll get all the data that has been associated with this PDF. This is great information for us to use. So coming back over to here, we're going to do two major things. The first thing we're going to do here is going to be adding a code block that's going to be giving all the relevant information, all the relevant data found in that PDF. So we're going to run JavaScript here. I'm going to go ahead and grab our code block. I'll make sure to add these in the description down below so you can use them yourself. We're going to continue here. And if you're familiar with this channel, you already know the very famous code block here. So the purpose of this code block is it outputs the entire data for us to use. If we didn't have this code block, as you'll see when we pull up this, we don't have all that information, right? We only have file exist but not shown. So what we want to do here is we want to do file text, as we want to get the plain text that is found in that Google Doc. And then the input data, this is very important. You need to name it text, as that's how we identify it in our code. And then as you see here, we up to 20,000 words. I'm going to go ahead and increase this so we output up to 30,000, as I will do 40,000, as I'm not sure how many words are in that PDF, but that just basically, gauges how much data you want to do. So typically, obviously, do a little bit more than you would expect to be found in a PDF. So if you deal with PDFs the sizes of 5,000, 10,000, you'd probably put 20,000. I'm going to continue here, test the step, and we should get all the relevant information in that document. All right, so there we go. We got all that information. As you see, it is a lot of information. And you might be saying to yourself, oh my gosh, like I can't read that, or it's the way it's structured does not look good. Don't worry about it. AI doesn't care. They just read text or they just read data. So what we do here is we're gonna add another JavaScript block here, as having that many words and inputting into a GPT prompt is counterintuitive for two major reasons. The first one is that too much data in a GPT prompt, as you'll see here, is going to lead to worse outputs. The second one is that you'll lead to more likelihood for the automation to break because of delay times or timeouts and stuff of this nature. So this is how we circumnavigate stuff like that. We're going to go ahead and do JavaScript here. And we're going to do another code block. So the purpose of this code block is going to be to separate the data into separate blocks. The reason we do that is so we can kind of compress the data using GPT-16K in order for us to use later. So we're going to go ahead and make sure we choose the right variable here, which is going to be text again. And the underlying data we're going to use here is going to be the previous result, which is the entire data that was associated with that PDF. And as you'll see here, we have separated. So we have three major chunks, and we're going to go ahead and separate by 5,000 words a chunk. I think that should be sufficient. I'm going to go ahead and just increase that, or maybe add another chunk here just in case. Let's go ahead and see if we need to add another chunk here. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go ahead, this right here. We just do chunk 4 and 3. So this is like their way of creating an array. I'm going to test this step here, and we should get 3 separate chunks here. So we got chunk 1. We got, scroll down here, chunk 2. And okay, so it's only 2 chunks. So we have actually less than 10,000 words. We don't have to worry about the rest. 2 chunks, perfect. Now let's go ahead and compress those chunks. So we're gonna go ahead and add a ChatGPT block here. And it is very important that for this ChatGPT block, you choose the model of 16K, as this is gonna allow us to compress large amounts of data for specific use cases. So we're gonna do conversation here, and we're gonna go ahead and hit continue. And we're going to do 16K. Now, in theory, because of the purpose and the use case of this video is to build out a business plan, I can approach this in 2 different ways. The first way I could approach it is maybe give a lot of information on what's typically encompassed with a business plan and what we're looking for. So in theory, you could kind of fine tune a little bit further here, but I'm going to take this at a very broad aspect. So rather than me listing out, executive summary, business description, market analysis, organization, and management, we're going to get into that later in this automation. I just think for the initial compressing of the data, we want as general as possible, so we're not leaving out maybe specific data points we would need. So for here, we're going to say we're going to keep it general, right? So we're going to keep it general because then you could basically upload any type of market research report into this folder and get an output. So we're going to say based on this market research report. And then we're going to do report title. And then we'll do report section 1. And then we'll go ahead and add these little parentheses here. We're going to do title here. So the title is just going to be, our original title here. And then the section 1 is going to be chunk 1 for us. So we're going to come down here, let's go all the way to chunk 1. There we go. We're going to say, and we can honestly talk very blatant. We're going to say compress this data to find what will be relevant for us to make a business plan later. I could probably proctor this better. I could have probably made this better, but let's go and see what this looks like real quick. Biz out. Memory key, random 32 character string, consistent outputs. Let's go and increase. I don't typically increase tokens as it doesn't follow it, but I'm going to increase it just for now. We're going to say 1,000. The purpose of tokens is how large of an output you would be looking for in the context of how many words. It's very loose. It doesn't typically follow it, but sometimes it's just, good practice to add it just so you can give it more breadth. Okay, so based off those 5,000 words found in the first half of this market research report, we can go ahead and scroll all the way down here. And we should get a reply here. Okay, there we go. So based off those 5,000 words, we went ahead and got, it looks like, around 15 major points with some additional information. So just to prove why compressing data is so important here, we're gonna go ahead and copy this and see how many words are associated with that compressed data. All right, so coming over to our word counter here. All right, so 440 words. So it compressed 5,000 words all the way up to 440 words. I think that's like what, like a 80 to 90% compression rate. So really good stuff here. Now let's go ahead and just copy this. We're going to duplicate this. We're going to give it the same logic here we're going to go ahead and identify that we are in section 2 of the report, and we'll provide just the same deal here. And we're going to go and do chunk 2 here, and we're going to compress this data even further. So in theory, we could, if you are dealing with smaller reports, you can compress one report, one 16K block. But I wanted to show you the functionality of chunks as if you're dealing really large PDFs, this is going to be your best bet when trying to do automation and analysis and using AI. Alternatively, there's probably softwares out there that cost you, an arm and a leg every month to pay for it. I mean, this is using it as direct as possible in our current context. So from here, we're going to take another 5,000 or around 5,000 words, and we're going to compress that as well. So just to give an example of maybe one of these outputs, we're going to scroll down here real quick. We got the market is dominated by 3M, but they have production and delivery problems. CP Adhesives is a low-cost alternative, but API's new formula has advantages over both competitors. So just to remind you, we are dealing with a market research report about hardwood floor manufacturers. I have zero knowledge on this industry. So if you do have knowledge of this industry, you probably understand a little bit more of that terminology of what was said there. From here, though, let's go ahead and continue the logic. So we went ahead and compressed the entire PDF pretty well. Let's go ahead and take this one step further here. We're going to go ahead and do ChatGPT here. And we have two major options here. I could either jump directly into building out the GPT-4 logic. As a GPT-4 logic is more comprehensive in the context of building out a business plan, is what you're going to want to use. But the very important thing to understand about GPT-4 is you don't want to front load it with too much data. Even 450 words seems a little much to me. So what I like to do in the context where I want to make sure that it is as nice as possible is let's go ahead and tailor a little bit more with GPT 16K. 16K is amazing. 16K is very powerful. If you know how to leverage 16K, you can do most AI automations than you would expect. A lot of services out there you really don't need anymore, as you can really do it all on the back end of Zapier. So from here, I'm going to say based on this market research report summary. I'm going to do report summary. So if you're familiar with code, you would know that a lot, you're making constants, you're making variables. It's really nice to speak to GPT in a similar way where it's like you identify that we're dealing with a report summary. Okay, what is a report summary? Here's a report summary, and here is the variable point. From here, though, we can go ahead and add our reply one, and then, we could just add a comma here. It's not too important, as end of the day, they don't read it like a human. They just read it like a robot. So we provide our entire report summary here, and we're going to say generate a general or generate based on this data the following. So I'm going to give it a very broad idea of a business plan. So I'm going to copy it over. I already kind of got it outlined from ChatGPT here, but we're going to go ahead and do this. So, and then we're going to, let's go ahead and see what this output actually looks like. I'm actually curious, but we essentially gave an executive summary, identified specifically what we want in an executive summary, business description, and, a bunch of stuff of this nature. So we're going to go ahead and up this to 16K. This might not be perfect here. There might be a limited amount of stuff I want to do here. So actually, let me do this real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and just put in some words here. And for the stuff that takes a little bit more comprehension, let's go ahead and, well, first, actually, let's go and see this output. If the output's good, we can kind of proceed from here. If it's not, then I'm going to try a different route here, where instead of giving so much analysis to 16K, I'm going to put it on 4. Okay, so here's what we got. We got the business plan outlines the strategies and actions required for an advanced products Inc. to tap into the wood floor manufacturing market segments. API is a lead manufacturer. Okay, the market for wood floor manufacturing is strong, which with an increasing demand of high durability adhesives and bonding techniques. Although the market is dominated by 3M, API's new adhesive formula provides advantages and gives us a general overview. So this is kind of more specific in the context and maybe more analysis on API. Funny enough, API is a very common term in software. From here, though, let's go ahead and fine tune it, because maybe that was the main points of the research, right? That's what they found in the market. Now let's go ahead and say, based off this research, though, find me a way to start a new business or a potential in this market. So now that we have our output here, which is good, let's go ahead and add a formatter block. This is going to allow us to split the data into identifiable data points that we're going to then be able to leverage with GPT-4. So I'm going to go ahead and do text here, We're going to do an event of split. So split is going to be a very important tool to use in the context of anytime using an AI prompt. This is used a lot in code as well when we're dealing with outputs that are reliable from OpenAI. Sometimes we want to use JavaScript as a formatter in order to ensure consistent outputs at scale, because sometimes AI can throw in some extra stuff in there that is not necessarily needed. So we're going to do the input of the previous reply here. We're going to do their documentation, which is going to be new line, and this is going to output every single data point as a separate field that we're going to be able to use later on. So I'm expecting a executive summary and then some sentences here. Okay, perfect. That's actually really good. Okay, so now that we've been able to split up this data into separate points here, one ChatGPT block for basically 10 different data points, amazing. We can go ahead and add the logic of ChatGPT 4. So I'm going to go ahead and just showcase one block of this and one execution of this, and then we're going to show you how to push it towards a Google Doc. In theory, though, you would repeat this kind of logic for all the other different blocks here that you deemed necessary, that you want analysis and further in-depth research on. So for now, let's go ahead and give like the most important one, right? So we can go ahead and say, okay, we'll just do the executive summary, and then we're gonna say based off this, give us a good business idea, right? But in theory, you'd probably go through all of this information, load it for this Google Doc here. We're going to say based on this business executive summary, semicolon, parentheses, spell executive correctly, and we're going to do this, generate a new business idea that will leverage this information. All right, and I may need to restructure this prompt. We'll see what it is. But notice we went from a over 7,000 and 9,000 Word doc to now just a nice concise data point from GPT 3.5 60K compressing. Therefore, now we can feed this into GPT-4, which is a very much more comprehensive model, and provide it with very relevant information that we care about. So let's go ahead and see this output here. Okay, so we got a new business idea. Before we read it, let's go ahead and jump into just actually showing you how to push it towards a Google Doc. So we're going to do Google Doc here. If we come over here, and this can be pushed to a presentation as well. It's a little bit more complex. You have to build a preset template in Google Slides, but in theory, you can build out a whole presentation off a market research report, which is really cool. From here, though, we're going to say create document from text, and we're going to go ahead and just input our relevant text here. So I'm going to choose our courses account, and from here we can go ahead and put our text that we just got there. So in theory, though, as well, to keep in mind, we can actually use HTML here. So in theory, I could have had it so that the output was in HTML, so it's formatted a little bit better. And honestly, let's just go ahead and do that real quick. So we're going to go ahead and take the same logic here, and we're going to say formatter output in HTML. And as you know, since we want consistent outputs, I'm going to refresh the memory key so we start fresh here, and let's see what our first output looks like and if we are satisfied. Okay, so we got a limited amount of HTML. I probably could have said, add bullet points, formatting, let's add a little bit more pizzazz here. Have bullet points and bold, important words. Add a little bit of pizzazz here, make it a little bit better. So when you have it all interconnected, and maybe you have every single block that's doing analysis, you can have it output HTML, so the output looks a little bit more legible, a little bit more professional, and stuff of this nature. There we go. So we got some cool HTML formatting here. Let's go ahead and check it out live here. So we're going to go ahead and put in this reply that we just received here, and this should be good. Let's go ahead and put it in a folder that is specific to us, which would be the business folder that we created here, business proposition. And let's hit continue here, test this step, and we should see a new Google Doc show up here. Based off the information and the data of this market research report, we went ahead and got a Google Doc. That is going to be an analysis from GPT-4 here in HTML formatting. And here is the new business idea. Obviously, we could have got this more complex, added more blocks, but here we go. So we got bearing in mind invaluable business executive summary information, we can launch a new business venture focused on staples of engineered wood flooring adhesives. This business will capitalize on untapped potential in fast evolving engineered flooring adhesives by leveraging API's innovative and high performance adhesive formula, offering superior durability from prevailing market players like 3M and CP adhesives. Product development, target market penetration, building strategic partnerships, competitive positioning, and market research. Now, we could have got more in depth here as we have all that data that was associated, found in these chunks, found in these outputs. But for now, you have successfully learned how to take a data research report, and all you would need to do is simply drag it into that folder and then have automation deal with the rest and give you a structured out HTML output into a Google Doc. So if you feel like you learned something, make sure to leave a like. It's completely free and helps us here at Corbin AI. If you're more interested in learning more about PDFs and how to leverage them, check out just recent videos here, or just type in Corbin AI PDF. We've done a ton when it comes to PDF, whether it's creating from an invoice to Excel, analysis on general topics and PDFs. We even did one where we showed you taking a client's information and automatically post a call, creating a personalized lead PDF, right? Crazy stuff here. I'm gonna leave a playlist at the end here called AI for Tools for Modern Business. You can check out a bunch of new stuff here. But without further ado, I'll see you in the next video.
Thanks for tuning in. And yes, surprise, I'm an AI avatar. Make sure to explore more here at Corbin AI, where we demystify AI for your personal and business life. Until next time.